Well, hello and welcome to a new season of the Photography Pubcast. This is season 6, episode 1. Now, if you haven't been paying attention and watching, looking at our, did we discuss it in the last video, or have we just put it on Facebook?
No, we talked about it.
Yeah, we did. So if you haven't been paying attention, we're splitting these episodes now weekly into 2 a week. So
are we?
We are, Dave. Yeah, we are. So this episode now is going to be about photography. So none of the chit chat. No, I don't care how you've been. I'm not interested. All right, yeah. Save it for the next episode. We're going to start talking about photography. How are we all anyway? Really quickly, we're all good, aren't we?
Yeah.
Do we want to say about absent friends? Because we've got two people missing, haven't we? Do you want to mention?
Oh yeah. So
only common.
We've got a couple of people who are not here. Stu's not here. Hope you're well, Stu, mate. Thinking of you, buddy. I'm sure we all are. And Adam's not here. Adam's got a bit sort of radio silent, so I assume he's workshop season, and he'll be back at some point. So hope you're enjoying your workshops, Adam. But we're all good. Yeah, at the moment we're all faring okay.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Got my legs back.
Yeah, excellent. And we'll talk about that in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to start with a little bit of photography news. So I've been trawling through the things that have been happening while we've been away, and this one's quite recent. This one's actually from this week. So this was a report on Sky, and this is about why hot weather has triggered a mast year. With a big crop of acorns, conkers, and berries, and apparently the autumnal display this year is going to be one of the best ones for the last 4 or 5 years. So, what do you think about that?
What the hell has that got to do with photography? Just out of interest.
Well, because the colours are going to be about, aren't they? The colours are going. We're going to have autumnal colour for us woodland photographers.
Oh, I've had my fill of autumn colours this year.
Well, it's probably going to be the best display for a long while.
I hope it is actually, because I hope it is actually, because I must admit, last year when I went to the lakes, it was a bit of a washout. The weather was really funny last year, and it didn't all peak at the same time. It was very hit and miss. The year before, I thought was really nice. It all kind of came together, but last year it did seem to be a little bit kind of, hit and miss. I thought this year was going to be the same, because I don't know if you noticed that a lot of the leaves, because it was such a dry summer, a lot of the leaves was actually starting to drop early.
Well, I can tell you, Darren, that is actually known technically as a false autumn.
I know. And do you know how I know that?
Why? Because you read the article?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I spoke to Helen, who watched it on the telly. So she said, it's a false autumn, because all the trees are not getting enough moisture, so they're starting to drop all the leaves. So
but because we've had an awful lot of rain, it's kind of saved that. So actually, it's probably perfect conditions for some really good colours. So what? You've had enough for good colours, Dave? What?
I got a couple of decent autumn colours a couple of weeks ago, so I'm all done with autumn now. Looking forward to Lofoten with some snow.
Are you really? Oh, well, I'd see. I always love this time of year when it comes to autumn, and I'm always really lazy and never get up and take any shots. So if it's music to my ears, it's going to last a bit longer and it's going to be really good. So I might actually get myself out. But
I'm guessing that ours, just like Sam's, all the leaves have bloody blown off anyway in the last week or so.
Well, I was going to say, it's not just the leaves, all the trees have blown down. So, I've got we've just had Storm Amy here. And actually, I get a bit blasé about storms these days, because normally these storms come through and it's what we would call normal weather. But actually here it was pretty bad. One of the worst I've seen it. And we've lost quite a lot of trees. I've got a big sycamore tree down the end of my garden, which is now turning really nicely autumnly colours at the moment. But unfortunately, we've lost a third of it. Came down in the storm, which was a real shame, because it's a really nice old sycamore tree. But I'm hoping there'll still be some colour around in a couple of weeks' time. So I've got a week, or most of a week booked off at the end of the month. which I'm hoping is timed for reasonable colour, and I'll hopefully get down to Glen Affric as well around that sort of time. That's my plan anyway. But actually, one thing I was going to say about that, the mast, as you put it, Gary, was last year for berries, the rowan trees were absolutely nuts last year. So even though we didn't have maybe quite so much of the autumn colour in the leaves, round here, definitely the rowan trees just seemed to go mad and were absolutely covered in red berries. And this year, certainly the ones around my house aren't. We don't have any berries on it. So I wonder whether that's, I don't know whether that's a thing, if you have one year where you have lots of berries and then the following year you don't. But maybe it's different for other species.
Well, weirdly, I've noticed where we are, there's loads of berries.
Okay.
Loads, like absolutely. The trees are like red, like just red with berries, some of them.
Or maybe it's just my trees.
Yeah, it could be. Well, or it could be that it's coming your way and it just hasn't arrived yet. Because they were saying that it's gonna peak in different times the further north you go, I think. So you may find that then. But it's weird. I was gone.
No, I was going to say I don't think that because I think every year we always comment that maybe autumn's come late or it seems a bit earlier. I don't see it being much different to normal, because normally it's sort of end of October to first week in November. You know, those 2 or 3 weeks seem to be the peak. I remember, Daz, when we went last year to the lakes, that was around end of October time, wasn't it, or early November?
It was in October. I can't remember the exact dates.
Yeah, but that was stunning, and that was peak in my eyes. I'd never seen autumn colours like it when we went round Rydal in that area. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening, around here in any. I don't see autumn all of a sudden coming or looking different than normal. I think the trees tend to turn in depending on the species, don't they? Like I've got a silver birch in the back garden, and it's probably a third yellow and 2/3 green. I went past Holme Fen on the train when I went to London in the week, and I noticed that was probably about the same, so it's still got a fair way to go on the birches. And I think the oaks also are a bit later before they turn nice and sort of photogenic. I don't think that from a photographer's perspective, we need to be jumping in the car and heading out straight away. I would expect that end of October, early November is always going to be that peak time. Well, and as you say, it depends on the storms. It really depends on the storms, what leaves stay on the tree.
Weirdly, around my way, it's really, really colourful. Like,
is it?
Like literally around my house and in the sort of fields around there, it's really colourful already. But I made a video last week, like literally just 25 minutes, 25 minutes from my house, and it hasn't gone. So it's like it's totally gone where I am. But so I was like, oh great, it's going to look really good, and it hasn't gone really very much at all. So I don't know whether it's like soil conditions or I don't know what it is, microclimates, God knows. But yeah, some places, like I said, around me, I'd imagine. But if I waited another 2 weeks, it'd all be finished.
I think a lot of it has to do, obviously, with the storms, doesn't it? You kind of do wait. Especially like the further north you go, you kind of wait for autumn to come, and you can just see it turning, and then obviously like a huge storm will come through, and then you wake up the next morning and autumn is definitely on the floor. But yeah, when we went to the lakes last year, Jay, obviously I was there with Helen, and you came up, and we had a storm just before you arrived. But yeah, it was still nice, wasn't it? It was still, there was still, there was still a lot of colour. But I simply remember the year before. I don't know. It just seems to stick in my memory that the year before, it all seemed to come together. Whether it did, I don't know. It might have been that when I was travelling, that was the peak, and it kind of your first impression of autumn. It was just so colourful, and last year didn't seem as much. But it just could be, when you arrive, really, I suppose.
Was the year we all went to the lakes?
Oh, crikey, that was about 4 or 5 years ago now, was it? Wasn't that before COVID?
No.
Was it after COVID?
No.
Yeah, when we all went, and me and Jamie stayed in that pod. That was a couple of years.
That one.
I thought you meant when we camped.
Yeah, I thought he was referring to.
when we went up Home Fell. I thought you were talking about that one.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago.
that was a couple of years. The year after, that was because that was really good colour that year. The year we stayed in those pods because we went round by River Brathay and
That's it.
what's that lake that's by
not Tarn Hills.
Utree Tarn, was it Utree Tarn?
Utree Tarn, yeah,
and it was really nice. That was a couple of years back, wasn't it? Or was that 3?
Yeah, I thought it was the year before last.
Yeah, so that was really good. Okay, so anyway, that was that bit of news. It's exciting, isn't it? Isn't it exciting debating this news? Go on.
Tell you what, when we talk about, you said you were going to talk about some photos. Now, do you know what? I haven't got a recent photo that I want to share, but just talking about autumn. Now, there is a photo that I don't do social media that much. And there's a photo that I really like, an autumn photo that I really like. So I think what I'll do when we come onto it, I'll try and find it quickly. I'll share it, but I would really like your guys' honest opinion on this particular photo. So remember, honest opinions only. If you think it's trash, please say it's trash. But I quite like it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we're moving on. Something else that was in the news is about Iceland banning drones from a lot of their iconic waterfalls and bits and pieces. So they've introduced new restrictions on drones at popular waterfalls after complaints about noise and crowding, and apparently you need permits for it, and it's going to become widened as well. So do you think in terms of that, do you think that they should be banning drones entirely from iconic locations?
I thought Iceland banned drones a while ago, didn't they?
They had banned it from certain areas, but they're talking about actually what's the word I'm looking for? Like widening the areas, so they're going to ban it from a lot more places. So but the question really is, they're going to do that, but do you think they should do that over here? Do you think they should, like, if you've got a real iconic landscape, like say in the national parks, do you think they should just ban drones entirely?
I don't think they'd be able to. It depends if it's enforceable. It's like the National Trust. National Trust's policy says you can't fly drones, but it's not enforceable. As long as you're not on their land, you can fly drones over or whatever. But it's depending on if it's enforceable or not. If they've made it, if they've turned these areas into no-fly zones, and that's registered, so you can't physically fly, or they've made it by change the law to reflect it. Apart from that, it's not enforceable. A policy isn't enforceable. It's just a guide. It's not illegal. So if they try to do it, it will be how they'd be able to enforce it, which is the important thing. So,
well, I've not owned a drone for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years now. But when I did, I was always, I think I mentioned it before, I was always quite a nervous flyer. Because I was just always worried about pissing people off. When you're out on the fells and it's lovely and quiet and you just hear bzzz, just oh, you know what I mean? So I was always really concerned that flying my drone in such like a beautiful place was taking away other people's enjoyment. So I would take it up, I would get a little bit of footage, but all the time I couldn't wait to bring it down. And that's why I got rid of mine. I'm not, criticising people that do fly drones. I was just very conscious that I was spoiling other people's enjoyment of a beautiful, quiet fell.
I mean, the one thing I would say is drones nowadays, they are a lot quieter. Like, if you own one of the new Mavic Minis, you don't even, when it's up in the air, you don't even, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Once you get you're like almost like, where the hell is it? I mean, I remember having, do you remember the Phantoms? Do you remember the
the four propeller jobby?
And they were huge. It's like literally you could carry your groceries on them.
Yeah.
And I remember flying one of those, and that was like a helicopter. Man, that was so loud. And I got chased off. I literally was flying one up by Haysborough Lighthouse, and I had a guy who was letting the lighthouse, because they're holiday rentals, and he come bombing into the car park. He's like, "Who's flying that drone at this time in the morning?" I was like,
"Oh, is that what you was flying? A Phantom, the great big jobby?"
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have the smaller ones then. That was it. It was just the Phantoms or nothing. But nowadays, I mean, the minis are they're so quiet.
Yeah, see, that wouldn't bother me.
No, I don't even think you
wouldn't
know
bother
they're
me.
there.
As I say,
I've
I
just
think
bought a new drone. I've just
Oh,
bought the Mini 5.
Oh, right, okay.
I haven't flown it in terms of making video with it yet. Just buggering about, checking my boat hasn't slipped its moorings, so I fly it down to the lake, saves me walking down. But you're right, it's very, very quiet, even compared to the 4 or the 3.
Is it even quieter? Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, a lot of the places I go are National Trust. So, Snowdonia, NRW owns Llandwyn, and strictly speaking, you're not allowed to fly there. But I must admit, I tend to have a specific shot in mind, stick it up, take the shot, bring it down. So, I'm not even troubling the battery capacity. It'll only be in the air for 5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And I don't care. If somebody hears a bit of buzzing for 5 minutes, it's not the end of the world, is it? And I'm also, I tend not to go to these places when they're busy anyway. But I do think that when I pop a bit of drone footage in, and I use it very, very sparingly, it does lift a video. It does make it a little bit more interesting.
What about for stills, Dave? Do you use it for stills?
No, never. No, never bother with stills. Although, to be fair, in the past, I haven't had anything that could shoot raw, whereas this one can. So maybe I'll give it a go if there's something interesting. But I think aerial shots, just for the sake of them, are just like people that go out and do a 30-second single shot. Oh, I'm flying across this scenery, and put the whole 30 seconds in. There are plenty of people that do that on YouTube, and you soon think, my clips are usually either 4 or 8 seconds. That's it.
No, I must admit that now and again I kind of get the desire to buy a drone, but now it would purely be for still photography, not for, because obviously I don't make videos anymore, but it wouldn't be for the video. But I'm quite envious sometimes when I do see a really good drone image, and I just think, yeah, that looks really nice. And as you've said, like, the drones are kind of getting slightly cheaper than they was kind of like 5 years ago. The quality's getting better. You've just mentioned that they're getting quieter as well. So, yeah, who knows? But
I think drone photography as well is a whole other discipline from normal. You've got to think in a totally different way, because I mean, I've had several drones, and I've dabbled with drone photography a little bit, but you've really got to think out the box and got to think in a whole new way to actually get the most out of a drone shot. And I think you've got to know what you want before you put it up in the air. You've almost got to visualize the shot before you put it up in the air. Because if you just, and I'm totally with Dave as well about with the use of drones in video. It's just, you're right. It really elevates, if you do it right, it really elevates the video. But so many people I see, they use it way too much. And the other thing that really annoys me with drone videos or drone videography is when you watch them fly it like that, and then you watch it turn like it's doing that, and then you're like,
yeah,
just cut that
just
bit
cut
out.
that bit out, mate.
You don't need that bit. We don't want to see you manoeuvring the drone. We just want to see the lovely view.
It's quite ironic that you started off this by talking about Iceland. So the shots that make me want to get a drone for still photography have actually been the stills that I've seen in Iceland.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's every time I kind of see, especially when they go out to kind of like, the more remote places, and they take the drone out and they get like a pano shot, and I was like, oh yeah, I fancy getting a drone for that. So it's quite ironic that the shots that I'd like to see is the country that's thinking about banning them.
Banning it, yeah. Well, they're banned in all, aren't they? Banned in all the US national parks as well. Drones are banned. Yeah.
But I think the difference between places like Iceland and what we're talking about is, we're talking about people shooting a little bit of drone footage somewhere, it might be in the Lake District or Scottish Highlands. It might not be that many people around. And my opinion of when it comes to the annoyance of the noise is I get irritated by the noise of drones, but then I also get irritated by other people being on the mountain with me. So it's just another irritation to add to it. So it's not, I just kind of think, oh, never mind. But when you're talking about some of these waterfalls in Iceland, they are absolutely rammed with tourists, some of these places in the middle of the day. And add to that 4 or 5 people flying their drones about trying to get a shot for their Instagram story in the middle of the day, coupled with coachloads of perhaps more nervous elderly people who are scared of drones. I can see that being an issue. So I do understand it. And I've been to a couple of these sort of popular waterfalls in Iceland, and they are just absolutely heaving. The path up to them or the path alongside them is just it's a queue of people, and to have multiple drones flying around at the same time, I mean, it's just another irritation. And the crowds of people in themselves are an irritation. So but I can understand there might be safety concerns there as well. So I do get that.
Yeah. Well, maybe they should allow the drones and ban the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though. It's weird. This is going slightly off topic, right? But I went to a place last month called Bibbery. Have any of you guys heard of Bibbery?
No.
Yeah, you have, Dave. Yeah, Bibury. I'd never heard of it, right? Never heard of it. But the person who I was with wanted to go to Bibbery, because it's like a typical Cotswoldy type place, and they wanted to get a shot of this like Arlington Row, which is this like row of oldie worldy cottages, right? And I said to everyone I know, like, have you heard of Bibbery? No, never heard of Bibbery. Right? Got to Bibbery, they're bussing in Japanese tourists. Honestly, it's like a tiny village, right? There's nowhere to park, absolutely nowhere to park. So I had to drop them off, circle around, pick them up, so they got the shot. And it's like they got like a big tea room there, and they got like all these like places, and it's all set up for tourists. And I bet you most people in the UK have never heard of the place, but it's absolutely heaving. They were bussing these tourists in. They were bussing them into this place, and they were all going, all these Japanese tourists, like, taking the shots, and then bussing them out. I was stopping the tea room, have a drink, bussing them out again. I was like, and there's literally, there was another place up the road that I can't remember the name of, that's exactly the same, and there was no one there at all. Not one person was there. Very, very strange. Very strange. How have you heard of it, Dave? How had you heard of Bibbery?
Well, because when I was a child, we lived just up the road in Droitwich, so we used to go to the Cotswolds regularly.
Oh, okay.
But those sort of places you're talking about, there's no locals. They're all Airbnbs now, so there's nobody to give a shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone really cared about the parking, but literally you couldn't park anywhere. Everywhere was taken up. The whole village, like there was lots of parking, but it was all totally full. So very strange. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, moving on. We'll do one more because actually we're overrunning already. Surprise, surprise. We'll do one more, and this is from just basically Kase filters. We all know Kase filters, and we've all had experience with Kase. They have made a lens, an 85mm f1.4 prime lens. So the question is do we need another company in the lens market, and what do we think? Jamie?
Can't knock healthy competition, can you?
No,
you can't.
You can't.
Listen, they're a strong brand in the market. They're well respected. They've got a good position through the photography network as a respected quality brand. So if they've got the supply chain set up to do it, then what's stopping them doing it and using their brand to promote the lens? You used to say you can't knock the competition. It might have a knock-on effect to the mainstream brands to be a little bit more competitive if they start to bring products onto the market that compete. They're doing anything a normal brand of their size is going to do is maximize their brand identity in the market, and hopefully people can buy on the back of their good experiences with the filters. So yeah, I don't blame it. I don't know what the quality of the lens is and how it compares. So that's going to be the key, isn't it? Nobody's going to buy something just because it's Kase if it's crap. So it needs to stand up. But yeah, I think it's good to have healthy competition in the market. It's just going to help all of us ultimately.
I think they're on a hiding to nothing.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a brave move actually by Kase.
Why?
Because I think their filters are great, but as Dave was probably just about to say before I rudely interrupted, that a lot of people now are kind of familiar with the lenses that are out there, the brands that are out there. I think it must be quite a tough market to crack when somebody new comes in with a new lens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very specialist lens for one thing. So it's not got a particularly broad appeal.
Portrait lens, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And let's be fair. I mean, most portrait photographers are fully kitted out. I don't see them selling many. I think they're pissing into the wind, if you ask me.
It's interesting as well, Dave. Actually, sorry, Sam. It's interesting as well that a filter manufacturer who you would have thought would resonate more with landscape photographers have made a portrait lens. I mean, I wonder how many portrait photographers use Kase. So, I wonder how many portrait photographers would know about Kase as a filter manufacturer. They'd be better off maybe making a landscape lens. Sam, sorry.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there, Gary. But I think one of the things that I think is quite good about it is that looking at the lens, it's marketed as below the kind of price that we would normally pay for, say, a Canon L lens or a high end lens, and I think that's quite a good move, because certainly from my own experience, I'm a landscape photographer. If I buy a lens for landscape photography, I expect to spend quite a lot of money on it. But if I fancied dabbling in a bit of portrait photography, I wouldn't be interested in buying an L lens. I'd buy, well, in the past, I would have gone to a lower level Sigma lens or something like that. And that's exactly where this lens sits. So it sort of does fulfill that role of it's the sort of thing you can. I know it's not exactly a cheap lens, but it's almost at that level of, oh, I feel like buying myself a lens to play with for a bit of portrait photography. And if you've got a company like Kase who are known for producing good glass for filters, maybe they are quite well positioned to start making lenses. The thing that confuses me slightly is that it's one thing to make a filter. It's a completely another thing to make a whole housing of lens.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether is there a factory somewhere that maybe is making these similar products for different companies and different brands are using them? How does it compare to? I mean, the reviews I've seen have been comparing it to Viltrox, for example. And I guess that's kind of where it's sitting in the market is in comparison to some of those sorts of brands. So it's how they differentiate themselves from that. And it could be that the fact that they produce high quality filters might be enough for some people to say, oh, I'm going to buy the Kase one as opposed to a Viltrox or maybe even a Sigma. So it sort of makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, if you're watching, we're always more than welcome to have a look at one, and you can, feel free to send us one over, and we'll take a look and we'll give you our honest opinion on it.
You
won't we
shill.
all? So yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. Interesting that they're getting into lens manufacturing, because I'd imagine this won't be the last one. If they've gone that far to produce one, I should imagine it'll be.
I don't buy that for a second. There's no way they've tooled up to manufacture high quality glass themselves. They will almost certainly be rebadging as 7 Artisans or something. Sure as eggs is eggs.
Okay. Well, Andrew, if you want to let us know that, because I know he watches, Andrew, you. So if you want to let us know, mate, you want to come back to us, that'd be really interesting, and it would be really interesting. And also, what do you guys think about that? Because if you want to stick in the comments your opinions on anything we've spoken about or are going to speak about, we'll discuss that later. So we will mention some of your comments in next week's episode. So yeah, Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. All right, well, enough about that, because we were going to talk about something else, but we've already been going on for 30 minutes in our 15-minute slot. So let's move on to something else. Okay, so moving on, we're now going to have a look at some of our photos. This is the second segment in this new format that we're going to do. We're going to have a look at some of our photos. Now, we won't do this every week. So some weeks, if we haven't got photos, we'll look at someone else's. And I know we've all got someone in mind, haven't we, who we want to have a look at, because we've all discussed it previously, mentioning no names, Marius. But yeah, we will have a look at his at some point. But we are this week going to have a look at some of the photos that we've taken over the period between the last video and this one. So I know, Daz, you've been major busy and you haven't really had time to do anything. And I know that, Jamie, you haven't been out much to take photos. So it's just going to be the three of us this week. But I think we'll start, if it's okay with you, Dave. Let's have a look at some of the photos that you've got up that you want to show us.
Okay. Share. Okay, so this is the first one. This is from my road trip to the US that ended up so badly. So this is right on the Continental Divide, looking east back towards the Denver direction. And it was proper roadside photography. I mean, I could have put the camera on the bonnet of the car and got this shot. The whole place is just jaw-dropping, but I really liked that there was this big rain shower going on, but it was getting illuminated. So just a quick handheld shot on the side of the road, but I thought, well, if this is how things are going to pan out, this will be quite a good road trip. So that's that one.
That's really nice, mate.
Cheers. I've just got two more to show you, all from the US trip. This next one is Dead Horse Point State Park. So we're right up the top end of the Colorado River as it kind of starts cutting its way into the Grand Canyon. So this isn't as spectacular as the Grand Canyon, but think of it as the sort of narrow top end. Okay. So this is right next door to Canyonlands. So the river is about 2,000 feet below where I am. And I just thought it's one of those landscapes that is quite unique. I was trying to think, where is there another one I could go and visit? And I guess the closest would be somewhere like perhaps North Africa. There'd be bits that look a bit like this, but the US is full of this sort of thing. And because I've never seen a landscape of this ilk before, that was one of the things I was particularly heading for. But it was about this point, which is about kind of a third of the way into my road trip, that I started really struggling with walking. So this was a big effort to walk about 200 meters to this point. This photograph specifically, I wanted some foreground in it. It's very easy just to hang your camera over the side of the cliff. Yeah. And then everything is just middle distance and background. But there was some really nice rock shapes and this plant of some description that I particularly wanted to get into the shot. So quite like that one. And that, for me, as a holiday snap, is a nice reminder of what I could see.
It's so alien, though, isn't it, Dave? It's so alien to what we know and what we see. So I can totally see why you'd be drawn to take it, because it's just like nothing else, nothing around here in the UK looks anything like that.
And then this last one was when I couldn't get out of the car. So this is the Snake River Oxbow view. So this is about a mile away from the famous Ansel Adams Snake River, with the Grand Tetons in the background. But you can't take the Ansel Adams shot anymore because the trees have grown, so you can't see the river. The problem with this was on my sort of bucket list of places to go and shoot, but I couldn't get out the car at this point, so I angled it as best I could, stuck the tripod out right by the car door and sat in the car and did some photography. So this is a two exposure pano. But I would have left this, I'd have walked out of the car, parked myself closer to the water and got these reflections complete. but I couldn't. I picked this shot from the exposures that I took because I quite like the rings where the fish are rising. The trout in this river are completely suicidal. They just don't stop rising. And it was fantastic. And I thought, if only I brought my fly rod with me.
So this is a river?
Yeah, this is the Snake River. It winds its way down through Grand Teton, round through Idaho Falls, and eventually down to the Pacific Ocean. But you can see the autumn colours were coming along really nicely. So those are my 3 photographs. And even though I really struggled on the trip once I stopped being able to walk, I was determined to still remind myself of what I saw. There was no way I was going to not attempt some photography. So I got the camera on the tripod, I set it all up and composed it as best I could with the limitations that I had at the time.
Yeah. And tune in for the next episode to find out what happened to Dave. You know, if that's not a cliffhanger, then I don't know what is. So yeah,
shameless plug.
Yeah, you're going to find out, but you've got to wait till Wednesday for that. So Sam, let's have a look at your photos, mate.
Photos, multiple.
Photo. Okay.
Yeah, I've only got.
I thought for a minute you were pulling me up for saying photo instead of like image or capture.
It's
composition.
This isn't a photograph. This is a representation of the just juxtaposition between light and dark and the depths of our souls.
Hot web as well.
Oh yes.
So photo. I've only prepped one photo. Yeah, this was, well, we talked about it in the last episode about how I normally try and take a bit of time off over summer. I tend not to go out with the camera very much or do much photography. So this was 2 weeks ago. I decided the weather was looking quite good, so I thought, right, I'll get up nice and early. I'll go out and reintroduce myself back to photography just in time for the autumn again. And I woke up at probably about 4:30. Turned round, decided to go straight back to sleep again, and then slept in till about 7 a.m.
Sensible move.
And so then I got up at 7, went and looked outside, and it was absolutely gorgeous. There was mist, there was light. It was a stunning morning, and I thought, well, I've missed probably the best time, but I'll jump in the car, I'll go for a little drive, and just see what happens. And this spot here is a location which it's over in Torridum, and I've scouted out this tree which is in the middle of the river. Well, probably a couple of years ago I first noticed it, but I've never been able to capture it in good conditions because you do need a bit of mist. And I've always missed for mist, if that makes sense. Whenever I've tried to go and photograph mist over in that glen, and ironically, I think if I hadn't slept in and I'd driven over there an hour, 2 hours earlier, this shot wouldn't exist because you wouldn't have had the light backlighting that spider web. The mist would have been too thick. You wouldn't have had those light rays coming down through the mist. So I think it's a perfect lesson in you may as well just sleep in and not bother getting up early.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was really pleased with this. It was kind of jump out the car. There was a bit of mist in the glen. I went and took another photograph, which I quite liked. I mean, I went for a little wander along the edge of the river to scout out this tree. And then I saw that spider's web and I thought, wow. And it was just catching the light. And I thought, yeah, well, that's perfect. So it was nice. It just presented itself to me. And I think the best shots I always find are the best shots are the ones you're not expecting to take. They're ones which just happen to present themselves when you're out in the field. And I really like this shot.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Really nice.
Very nice. Very nice. That's lovely. And as you said, a lesson to us all that we don't need to get up early in the morning.
Don't plan your shoots and don't get up early. Those are the two take-home messages.
Yeah. In fact, don't bother. Just get AI to do it because AI does a great job these days.
Oh, that's a whole other topic.
Oh my God, isn't it? Let me show you mine. Yeah, you're gonna love these. They're great, honestly. So that's Durdle Door. I've been travelling over September around and about the bits and pieces. Not actually recording any video, but this is Durdle Door, and yeah, it's all right. That's that one.
I really like it, Gary.
Thanks.
I was waiting for you to say something else.
I know we see a lot of photographs of Durdle Door, but I like that for some reason.
I'll tell you what is interesting about this one, right? And I did check it against the one I did when I actually did a video about 6 or 7 years ago. Can you see over on the right hand side that far cliff? There's a little tiny gap in that cliff appearing.
I thought it was a hot pixel.
No, that wasn't there. So that is going to be a new Durdle Door in a few thousand years' time, because that certainly wasn't there, and I double checked it against an old photo. And I hope you noticed as well, I left a singular person on the beach as well. Left them in. Anyway, Durdle Door, amazing, great. So this is another one. This is I put this one in. I thought you might like it. This is the Broadway Tower, because some bastard's gone and stuck a flag on it. Unbelievable. They get everywhere, don't they? Put flags on everything these days. So yeah, there's that one. Nice.
Where's that go?
It's in a place called Broadway. It's sort of, I think, in the background.
Bibury.
It is quite near Bibury, weirdly. In the background, I think if you were to look further left, I think you've got the Malverns. It's sort of that way. It's sort of Gloucester.
Yeah, it's Worcestershire way, isn't it?
Yeah, Worcestershire way. Yeah. So I can tell you a little story about that. I parked up in a gate in a gateway, and like a little access gate, but I made sure that I wasn't blocking the gate. And there was a guy in the field where I'd parked because the main place was closed, because it's quite late in the evening. And the main place was closed, and I said to him, "Mate, am I all right to park here?" And he's like, "Yeah, no worries, it's fine." And I was there, like, stayed there till it got dark, because apparently there's supposed to be lights that came on, but they never did. And I could see this car like fiddling around by my car with the lights on. So I legged it back, because thinking, oh Christ, I'm going to get clamped or something. And it was these, guess what, Japanese tourists going, "Oh, we don't know where we are." And I'm like, "Well, what have you come here for?" "Oh, we've come here for this tower." I was like, "Well, follow me." So I took them to a tower. And actually as well, there was a stag with a load of, what a female deer called?
Does.
What a female deer called?
Does.
Yeah, there was a stag with like a harem of does literally grazing all around. And I was like, I tell you what, it's not getting too close to that. But yeah, so I just thought I'd share that one. I've only got a couple more, honestly. It won't take
the light's nice on that one, though. I like the light on it.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, not a lot else is nice about it, but the light is good. So then I've got this one.
Oh, I like that.
So I've kind of been like dabbling with doing different things. So this was in a place called Athelhampton House, which is near Bibury, by the way, just in case you're interested. It's right near Tolpuddle, where the Tolpuddle martyrs came from. And I just loved it, man. This is I've got loads of shots from inside that were all like sort of atmospheric like this. And I just thought, it's just something totally different from what I would normally shoot.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And yeah, just
nice.
yeah.
I think it's a bit like
nice.
Sam's shot. In Sam's shot, I quite like the lights and darks, and it's the same with this. I just it's the light and darks that's that makes the image.
Yeah. So I kind of really enjoyed shooting that, and I've got one more, which is in the same place, which is just that.
Quite well on that background.
It does look nice, didn't it? It's just that, which was just like literally a fountain that was in the gardens, and it's just something different. I just fancied. I like that. It's like hankering to do something different rather than the same old. And I took that.
I can imagine that being an album cover.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if anyone's watching, give us a shout. We can talk about royalties. But yeah, so there you go. That's my
Right,
little selection.
Gary, nice muted tones.
Yeah.
Shall I show you this woodland shot?
Oh yeah, go on then. Let's have a look, Daz.
Oh, how do I share my scroll? Share. So this is a shot that I took last year at the Lake District, and it's got no depth to it, no star of the show, so to speak. But I've got a screensaver on my computer at work, and this photo often rolls round, so I kind of see this like every other day. And it's a photo that I can never kind of quite make up my mind whether I like it, whether I think, oh, it's okay, or I really like it. But I just like all the different colours, and I keep getting drawn to this because of the colours. So honestly, I'm not asking you to say, "Oh, that's a great shot," or whatever. Just what do you think of that photo? Because I can't make my mind up.
Oh, that's a great shot, Daz.
Thanks.
Oh no, you don't want me to say that, dear. Sorry.
No, honestly, I want your opinion because I can't make my mind up with this photo.
Well, this might not help, but it's the kind of shot I would take. So you can take that either way you want.
Oh dear.
Exactly. No, I like it.
You said it. You said in a second. Sorry, you said it a moment ago about not having a star in it or a main subject. And I think that's one of the things to me that sticks out is there's no main subject. And when normally you look at a scene and your eyes sort of tend to go towards the middle, the trees in the middle are a little bit dark. Not got a lot of colour to them. And therefore you've got the colour on the outside, and that's encompassing a bit of a dark, nondescript little bunch of trees in the middle. I think you also, I presume it was quite flat and overcast, was it? So there's no sort of real contrast in the scene, is it? It does seem quite flat.
This was the day before the storm last year, and that's when I thought, right, well, I knew the storm was coming. I'll whiz round and try and get some shots. And this was just at the top of the lane by the campsite, and I just saw all the autumn colours. In fact, I've got other shots on that trip that I feel are far better than this. But that's why I just wanted. But I keep coming back to this, thinking I'll just like the colours. But yeah, sorry, Jake, carry on.
Yeah. No. I was saying, I think from a visual perspective, the impact is the colours, isn't it? But as I say, normally with you don't always have to have a subject, do you? It's the end of the day, it's photographers' right to do what they want to do. But I think in this case, potentially, it's maybe missing that main subject in the scene, and it is a collection of colours rather than a particular subject that your eye's drawn to. Doesn't detract from the picture. It's a lovely picture, but I guess that's probably why you're a little bit uncertain about it, because there's nothing that's jumping out to you saying, "Well, I know why I took that shot. It's because of this."
Do you think the centre of the photo is too dark then?
Well, I don't think it's too dark. I don't think it's got a clear subject in the centre that stands out. I think because those trees in the middle are darker and not as colourful, then they don't stand out as much, and therefore the scene, because the two big stars in that show are the rowan. I presume it's a rowan tree, is it, with the red berries on the left, just as you come in, and then the one towards the right, which has got more of a lime green colour. Those two stand out to me anyway. The one on the main left, obviously that's your bookmark, and that's keeping the scene nice and contained. The bit in the middle is the bit that to me just doesn't impact the scene punchy enough. There's nothing in there to grab your attention in the centre. Just my view, personal view. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's what I wanted
to hear.
Horrible man, Jamie.
Well, I'm pleased Jamie went first, because otherwise I would have come across as being really horrible as well. So. But yeah, no, I completely agree, Daz, with what Jamie said. But the only thing I'd add is I think that so I've done a few shots in the past where it's just trunks of trees and leaves, which don't have such a nice variety of colours in it as this one, and I can completely see what's appealing about that variety of colours. The distraction for me on the shots, the the bit down the bottom, the edge of, whether it's the edge of a field or wherever it is, just that line of green along the bottom.
Oh, the little ferns that are sticking up on the bottom left.
No, the whole kind of like all the way along the bottom from the to the right as well. The green.
Right,
so
yeah.
it, like if it was just trees, and if those ferns which are under the trees were continued on instead of that row of green shrubbery, like it would probably work a lot better. I mean, I don't think you can necessarily get away with cropping it, because then you'd lose the trunks on the left hand side. So I don't think that would help. But I completely see the appeal of it as well, because I've done some shots in the past as well where it's just purely looking at a pano of foliage, and it can work really nicely. But yeah, there's greens in the bottom right, and that row of hedges are distracting.
Right, Jim, thank you. I've taken up enough
Dave,
time.
have you got an opinion? Because I've got an opinion.
Oh, go on.
I'm not qualified to talk about woodland photography.
Okay. All I was going to say, and it's nothing to do with the composition or the colours or anything. You like it, or you think you like it, because it keeps showing up on your screensaver, right?
Yeah.
Or on rotation, right? So that to me says that it's one of those images that's a grower, right? So it might not, like, we might look at that first off and go, well, I don't like that, and I don't like that, and I'm not sure about that, and I'm not sure it works because of that. But because it keeps showing up on your thing, the more you see it, the more little bits appear to you, the more they just come out of the image and start talking to you. So maybe that's a lesson for us all, not to judge immediately on what you see, because that's like a very sort of Instagram attitude, to go, oh, I see that, it hasn't done it for me, right? You see it over and over and over and over again, and then suddenly you look at it and go, oh, actually, you know, I quite like that little bit, and I quite like that. And I'd imagine if we all had that image for, say, a week, and it kept popping up, we might start to love it, and we might start to appreciate it more, because there's little nuances in it that you don't see when you're initially looking at it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm glad you said that, because, as I say, like when I took this photo, it was. Let me stop sharing my screen now.
yeah, get it off. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, get rid of it. Oh, hang on.
You're good. You're back. You're with us.
Yeah. So when I kind of took that photo, it was just one of probably 15 photos that I took kind of over I don't know, 2 or 3 days, and it was never a photo that jumped out at me. But it was a grower, and I think it was because of the colours, not because of its kind of merit as a photo. And as I said, there was no star of the show, and there was, like as Sam's pointed out, there was things that I couldn't kind of crop out. There was things that I wish there wasn't in the scene. But there was something that kept coming back to me, and I just thought, I don't know, I just like the palette of colours. It was more the colours that I liked about it than this, you know, fantastic photo. So
yeah,
I think that Gary makes a fair point, though, that the kind of that instant Instagram, are you going to scroll past it, or are you going to go, oh, that's quite good? But also, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's your photograph, and I would probably wouldn't have even asked the question. I'd have thought, that's on my screensaver, I quite like it. You know, that's all there is to it.
No, but I don't know. Do you ever have a photo that you quite like, but you don't know why? And that's this photo for me. A lot of photos. You know, I kind of sometimes I think there's something about that photo, and I can't. I think what I said and Jamie said, it kind of there is no star attraction in that photo. So when you get a kind of picture of a mountain, you know where you're looking at, and that photo there's nothing, but there's something that I just keep looking at. I think there's something about that I like, but I don't know why, and it just must be the colour.
But you've also got probably a connection to it when you were there. You enjoyed being there. You enjoyed the environment. You were happy, and that stuck with you, really. So when you look at it again, it reminds you of what you felt when you were there, which is what a photo is meant to do.
And actually, while we're on the subject, because we'll move off of photos now, but before we go, I totally agree with what you say, Dave. It is much more about what you think of your own photo than anyone else. But why don't you let us know what you think about our photos? Rip them apart. Go on, rip them apart. Tell us what you hate about them or what you love about them. It'd be interesting to hear, and we'll discuss that next week. See what I'm doing there? See what I did there? Anyway,
Seamless.
I know it's great. So I would say moving on, but we've been an hour, and like we were only going to do 45 minutes on this first little bit. So let's have a. I can't even remember what the conversation was going to be about. I think we were going to talk about bags, slingbacks versus backpacks. But so whoever wrote that, that's coming up. But I think maybe we'll do that next week if we don't overrun with everything else.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll say now is thanks so much for watching this part of the first week. It's been good to have you all on, and we'll see you again in a few days' time. Goodbye. Goodbye.
That was a quick ending.
Yeah, I know, because I'll save the long ending.
Threw me there.
I'll save the long ending for later.
Right. Okay.
For the next episode.
Okay.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. See you Wednesday.
Bye. See you Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye.